Hey, what's going on, crypto people? It is the Crypto Siege with another day in the life and the crazy life that is the digital asset space. Good afternoon, happy Friday to you. What am I? Did I hear this correct or not? Did Mr. Jerome Powell utter in the same sentence global stablecoins and systemic risk overnight, all in one sentence publicly? Did I hear that correct? Did I hear that correctly? What? Holy wow. And we're going to hear from Marcus Treacher say something. Very interesting question that he got asked here recently. And the way he answered it for me says everything. We're going to get into that as well. And Barbara Cuggs is at it again, pointing out something about the IMF and their priorities for 2021. And I think, my friends, that is a big deal. So we are going to get into that as well. Good afternoon. Happy Friday to you. Whoa. Did he really say that? Did Jerome Powell really say that? Guys, unbank yourself. Unbank yourselves. If you don't know how, just ask me and I'll help you get in headed in that direction. It's important to be able to unbank yourself. To me, it's above all things. It's above tax deferments and tax freeze. Learning how to unbank yourself. Absolutely. Big time Friday, guys. We're going to priority. We're going to run through this stuff. I got to tell you, I'm really excited. I want to share this Marcus Treacher clip here for you guys because I think it is massive. We got to hurry up because we got to get on a call at 1 o'clock. But Jay Coin is in the building. How are you, my friend? Good to see you. GoCon is here. A Joseph C is in the building. What's up, my friend? 44 Blockchain Debian 2. Trey Hauser. It's all good, bro. What's up with you? Roderick Duncanson is in the building. How you doing, bro? Crypto Man is here. Nicole, a lady in crypto, is in the building. How are you? I'm new here. I'm so glad that I've made one of your lives. I'm very interested in all this. Well, welcome to the digital asset space. And welcome to this channel, guys. Welcome Nicole T to the channel. You are definitely in the right place, my friend. You are definitely in the right place. So glad to have you here. Digital asset space. It is a new thing, right? It really is a new thing. And you want to, soak up as much as you possibly can. We primarily talk about XRP on this channel, but we do talk about a few others like VeChain, a little bit on Bitcoin, a little bit on RSR, Algo, and all of the likes. What I would encourage you to do is to go to livecoinwatch.com, click on XRP, click on Ethereum. On each one that you click on, in the middle of the right, there will be a link. You just click that link and you can learn about each project. You can learn about each project. And then I would recommend you go check out The Modern Investor, TMI, so that you can level up your overall space on the digital asset space, my friend. Again, welcome. We love to see the women of crypto, right? Chrissy Fouts, how are you? Good to see you here. You're welcome, Nicole. Terrence Radford is in the building. Thank you, bro. Good to see you here. I've been on bank since September. Love it. I love to hear that. Hey, Joseph C. I love to hear that, my friend. So let's get into this Marcus Treacher. Now, if you want to learn more about XRP, you can certainly, Nicole, go back to some of the videos that we've done on this channel. You can learn more and more about what we believe to be the greatest digital asset ever created in XRP. But let me see if I can find this. Let's do this. Yeah, there it is there. Go back here and let's share this. The market's doing what the market does, as I like to say. Oh my goodness. All right, let's share here. I was planning on on this kind of pullback. I'm actually planning, hoping for a bigger pullback, quite honestly. Getting that $4 range with XRP, get Ethereum under 1,000, that would be great. Get Polkadot under Under $12 would be great, and Link under $10 for me. All those things would be great. So, guys, this is right out. This is a clip that Crypto Eddie shared. Shout out to Crypto Eddie, another lady doing her thing, and crypto and big time content creator and massive value add to the XRP community. We appreciate all that you do, Crypto Eddie. So let's listen to this guy. Listen to this clip. This guy, Prahanj Danielle, asked a question of Marcus Treacher of Ripple, and listen to this response.
Hi, my name is Prahanj. I'm from Canada, 22-year-old undergraduate student. I just had a question about ODL and its implementation. It seems globally right now, central banks are at a real crunch for liquidity, and ODL seems like a pretty perfect solution to.
22 years old, understands that the central banks are in a crunch in terms of liquidity. And he says, as a 22-year-old, that he feels like ODL seems like it can help to alleviate that liquidity challenge that the central banks are dealing with. 22. Let's listen some more.
To get rid of the requirements of things like pre-funded capital and limited banking hours and things like that. So I'm just wondering, how much more push do you think is needed to see implementation, and do you think we're at the threshold of the current system, I guess, in terms of what it can handle?
Great question. So the good news is we are live already with ODL. So ODL stands for on-demand liquidity, and that's really what you get if you use the XRP bridge currencies. You're starting from dollars and you're trading through to, let's say, Philippine pesos, 24/7 in a few seconds end to end. That really delivers the value into, let's say, the Philippines without requiring money to be held overnight. And that model is great for payment companies, great for people, and also great for regulators, because it means your banks in your country are holding more capital in your home currency and not having to expose themselves to overseas deposits. So it's a really good model. We're up and running between the US and Mexico, between UK and Philippines, US and Philippines. So what we're doing is proving that model and proving the value. And what we expect will happen is, as overseers get to recognize the value that this is creating, we'll see more markets opening up to this method of financing a cross-border flow. So, great question. It goes by the point that we are an engineering company, so we get our hands dirty, we do things, we get things working. We always work with regulators to build out these models, and yeah.
Did he say we work with regulators to build out this model? We're an engineering company. We get our hands dirty, right? Like we're a blockchain infrastructure company, like Brad Garlinghouse made us all aware of us quite some time ago, a few months ago, maybe even close to a year ago, that we're a blockchain infrastructure company. We get our hands dirty working with the regulators to put it in place. Right? To put it in place. He must have said that's a great question at least twice, if not 3 times, to this young man. It's always been that way. It's always been about Ripple, in my humble opinion, proving to the major countries and governments and banks of the world that they can come in and they can put something in place and help to free up trillions of dollars and mitigate your own sovereign currency's risk of having to deploy it in different nations and different locations around the world. As soon as it's out of your hands and it's in someone else's hands, that's called a risk. And what the ODL can do is replace that risk and provide this instant liquidity on demand liquidity. They're proving it out in corridors like Mexico, and they're going to continue to prove it out until more and more of the major banks and or nations, regulators, governments say, yeah, they seem to be doing that. And they seem to be handling the capacity. And yeah, this is what's going on. To me, my friends, that is absolutely golden. Absolutely golden.
We are demonstrating it works.
We are demonstrating that it works. That, my friends, is an understatement right there, right? And so shout out to Crypto Eddie again for sharing that. Absolutely a great question and an awesome answer. We're working with the regulators, getting our hands dirty, implementing. Right? You see him smiling, and you see how Marcus Treacher is smiling because he knew it was a genius question, and it could allow him to talk a little bit and kind of share without obviously going, staying away from the NDA stuff, right? They're doing it. They're doing it in Mexico. That benefit, again, guys, that benefit of a nation and its sovereign currency not having to risk it by pre-funding in another nation's banks is it's massive. So you can keep your currency in your nation, in your country, and continue to do what you want to do. I mean, it is absolutely massive. That's a great clip. Hey, Joseph C says, I received a call yesterday from my crypto custodian concerning what I want to do with my XRP ahead of their suspending on Monday. I told him I want to hodl, he said. He said, great move. Wow, you got a call. Isn't that interesting? Huh? Yeah, I hear you, my friend. Yeah. I know I'm gonna do as much as I can on pro.coinbase.com because it's just cheaper fees since Binance US is done, and snatch up a little today, get to another milestone, just so I can have some, kind of tap that and see what's going on there because, I don't know. I've used Uphold before, and maybe they've gotten a little better, but we'll see. So good for you, A. Joseph C. Yeah, and that's certainly what we're going to be doing as well, right? Lane. Gallo is here. Morning, Siege from Mexico. Oh, wow. Hey, Gallo, how are you, my friend? Good to see you. Good to see you. ¿Cómo está, mi amigo? No news on Tether other than, whoever this banker guy, Chrissy Fouts, who said, we buy Bitcoin. It's not looking good. What they got going on is not looking good. Let me share a little bit of something from the IMF because I think it's really important. I think I'm just going to leave this on share. Let's see. Here's the IMF. They put something out. This was on Twitter. In our first weekend read newsletter of the year, we look at 3 big priorities for 2021, along with Denmark's green vision, the legal standing of digital currencies, and more. So the IMF's 2021 priorities is the beer, cold, and vaccines, Middle East governance, Denmark's green vision, and digital money. Priorities for 2021. Absolutely important. They get it. They 1000% get it and understand that digital currencies are here to stay. Watch the full webinar to hear about how digitalization is working well and where it could improve. Well, how about that? That's in there as well. Let me see what else I wanted to share with you guys. There was something else that I wanted to share. Gababa Cugs put it, I love it. Nothing will be the same in 2021. I love it. Here's some, here's the whole deal with Tether. It's not looking good. Not looking good. Tether submitting financial documents to the NYAG office. EU officials shares Bitcoin's money laundering concerns. Madame Lagarde. Fed stating crypto is unsustainable. Exit all crypto markets, this guy says, right? While you still can. Great news. The SEC, I'm guessing, I can pop in. Oh, okay, I didn't want to read that. Here's the thing that I just think was very, 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 very interesting. The IMF official hashtag digital currencies might allow private citizens to open accounts with central banks for the first time. Remember we talked about how Simon Dixon talked about that? Maybe remember when we talked about Raoul Paul believing like this is more and more of a possibility, central banks going around the commercial banks and dealing directly with you and I? Official digital currencies might allow private citizens to open accounts with central banks for the first time. What does that mean? New IMF staff research looks into legal implications of various CBDC designs being considered around the world. Think about that. Digital currencies might allow private citizens to open accounts with central banks. Absolutely a massive statement. It says 113, the best is yet to come. A massive statement. Here is something that I found to be very, I don't know, it's an interesting thought this is from Leto the Second. It's an interesting thought. Let's take a look at this. In an interview in 2018, Gary Gensler was asked various questions about Bitcoin and Ethereum being securities. At one point, he was asked which blockchain project, if there was one, that he did like. He answered, the MIT Digital Currency Initiative. I headed over to see what it's about. I did too. Here's the mission statement of the MIT Digital Currency Initiative. Our mission is to create a future in which moving value across the internet is as intuitive and efficient as moving information. And he or she goes on here, I believe this is a she. Who coined this phrase? The answer is Chris Larson. Here's some food for thought. So Jay Clayton and Gary Gensler essentially love the XRP ledger, because remember how Clayton says, oh my God, the thing that's most intriguing is this technology around payments, right before they dropped the lawsuit, right? Essentially love the XRP ledger in every way, except it wasn't their idea. Remember when I said how Chris Larson and Brad Garlinghouse were the new guys on the block? Remember how I said that they don't have that long-standing relationships that the people from Goldman's, the people from JP Morgan, the people from Citigroup have with the SEC or the CFTC or any of the regulatory agencies? Remember how I said they were, Chris Larson and Brad Garlinghouse were the new guys on the block? They were the upstart. They were the disruptor. So Jay Clayton and Gary Gensler essentially loved the XRP ledger in every way, except it wasn't their idea. And having smart guys outside of academia and government, changing the world of money and not PhD economist, well, that just can't stand. Interesting stuff. So I go with John Deaton, the lawyer who filed the writ of mandamus on behalf of the XRP community. Third motive, the kitchen sink theory. They want to take Larson and Garlinghouse down. And in the case that XRP is not deemed a security, they want Ripple's escrow to be eminent domain of the United States. Interesting. Go here to see the mission statement of the MIT Digital Currency Initiative. I thought this to be some really, really great food for thought. Let's see here. What do I want to do? I want to go here. No, I don't want to do that. Shoot. I want to go here. I want to go here, and I want to listen to Jerome Powell say what I think he said. Interesting. Live Fed Chair Jerome Powell live Q&A on CNBC television. And let's listen to this dude.
So that's something.
Say something that, like, I wasn't planning on it. It starts around minute 26, but I'm gonna go back a little bit. All right, let's take a listen to this. He's gonna go from minute 26 to about minute 28 or so. So let's take a listen to the Fed Chair Jerome Powell and global stablecoins and systemic risk. Let's just take a listen to this. This is, my friends, some really, really interesting stuff.
But we will, of course, be very, very transparent as this comes, as we get closer. So I would just say this on the current situation: when it does become appropriate for the committee to discuss, specific dates, and that will be when we have clear evidence that we're making progress toward our goals and that we're on track to make substantial further progress toward our goals. When that happens, and we can see that clearly, we'll let the world know. We will communicate very clearly to the public, and we'll do so, by the way, well in advance of active consideration of beginning a gradual taper.
We will let the world know publicly when we're ready. It's hugely important.
Taper of asset purchases. So that's how we're thinking about that. Let's say something about CBDC. So we don't have an explicit plan to do what you articulated, but since we are the world's reserve currency, we actually think we need to get this right, and we don't feel an urge or need to be first. We have effectively, it means we already have a first mover advantage because we're the reserve currency. So,
and this, by the way, is the challenge. And it's the challenge, and sure, the United States dollar is the world's reserve currency, but it's really more so the attitude behind that. It's the attitude behind that. And interestingly enough, shout out to Darren Moore. He shared a video, and a lot of you probably remember that what was it? That dramatization of a global crisis involving China and North Korea. Remember when they played that out on stage? I think it was at Harvard. I didn't realize it, but Gary Gensler, again, another academic, was there. And he made a point that I think is significant. We have some time, and I'm going to play that. And he's pointing out the real challenge. There's the Fed and what they want to do with the dollar. And then there's the other side saying we have to accept the inevitable about the US dollar and then adjust, come up with our plan B, right? I'm not sure who's the person that would think that the United States is just going to be good They're going to just be good. Oh, yeah, okay, yeah, it's someone else's turn to have the world reserve currency status. In the US is just going to be, yeah, okay, cool. Who's up next? Right? That's going to be a fight, right?
And I think there are both benefits and potential costs and unresolved questions around CBDC. And so we're committed to, technology has made this possible, and you know, effectively private sector actors can create the equivalent of digital money. We know that in the past, when private sector money, the public sometimes just thinks of it as money, and then at some point they find out that it's not money, and that's a really bad thing we need to avoid. So we're going to look at it very, very carefully. And you know, we're investing heavily in understanding the technology and analyzing the policy questions, the many policy questions that come. We will also do, as we go through this process, we'll do a great deal of outreach to every constituency that would be interested, including you know, elected representatives, including financial sector participants, including, as we did with the monetary policy review, the people we serve, you know, to try to understand what are the use cases, do we need this, how would it help, what are the benefits, and I think all of that will inform our thinking as we go through it. So I think we're determined to do this right rather than quickly, and it will take some time. I think it'll take, you know, measured in years rather than months. But I would say, since it's possible and private sector is already kind of doing it, I think this is something we need to take very, very seriously.
Mm-hmm.
But to make sure that the private sector is moving ahead, not spilling over and creating some risks for the Fed, they'll have to step in ex post, I guess.
Yes, there's a need for, and we've been very focused, as you know, on better regulatory answers for potential global stablecoins.
And play right. So he's talking about crypto, then he talks about CBDCs. Now he's talking about global stablecoins, and this is where it comes across as the bigger emphasis, the more attention. All eyes are focused on this thing.
Potential global stablecoins in particular. So that's been a high-level focus, and that will continue to be a high-level.
That's been a high-level focus and will continue to be a high-level focus, this global stablecoin.
Because they can become systemically important overnight.
They can become systemically important overnight. Overnight, they can become systemically important. Regulation, supervision, and the oversight of global coin arrangements from the Financial Stability Board. Final report and high-level recommendations. Global stablecoin. I think this is the reason why David Schwartz actually comes out and talks about how stablecoins can be created on the XRP ledger using XRP as collateral. I just showed you a clip of Marcus Treacher and how he is saying that we're working with regulators in infrastructure, right? So it's not just the prowess of the technology. It is the ability to get on the phone and have some developers and some engineers be able to put something in place like that plug and play central bank digital currency platform. I think it's called something currencies. David Schwartz called it, I forget what he called it. It was 2 words, something currency platform, where a central bank can come together with the help of Ripple if they want it, and they can create a central bank digital currency absolutely on the ledger with the policies in place. You check a box here for this monetary policy, you check a box here for this regulatory framework, and it's in. So it's the ledger that, and it's the ability to create not only central bank digital currencies, but also to be able to put together this stable coins and have XRP as collateral. And this dude said the stable coins is a high level priority, and one that could become systemically important overnight. Let me listen to that again.
To make sure that the private sector is moving ahead, not spilling over and creating some risks for the Fed, they'll have to step in ex post, I guess.
Yes, there's a need for, and we've been very focused, as you know, on better regulatory answers for potential global stablecoins in particular. So that's been a high level focus, and that will continue to be a high level focus because they could become systemically important overnight, and we don't begin to have, our arms around the potential risks and how to manage those risks, and the public will expect that we do, and has every right to expect that. So that's something that we've been working on with our colleagues around the world, and that will go on as well. It's a very high priority.
It's a very high priority. It's a very high priority. Now, let me show you something which I think is the big thing here, because I really do believe that this is the challenge. It's an in-house challenge. Let me see if I can't find it. I may have to, yep, here it is right here. If you're not following Darren Moore on YouTube, you definitely want to go follow Darren Moore Jr. on YouTube. Subscribe and hit that notification bell. This dude has been doing his thing on Twitter for a long time, a big time value add and content creator for the XRP community. Definitely go check him out. Let me see if I can't find out where this is. It might have been earlier. Where is that? Here it is here. Again, this was like a dramatization of this crisis, this high level crisis involving China and I believe North Korea. Just take a listen to this. And here's Gary Gensler here, the new head of the SEC. And this guy immediately on the other side of him brings an opposing view. So this guy here on the left, opposite of Gary Gensler, is on the side of the Federal Reserve, SWIFT, and the US dollar. And Gary Gensler gives an opposing view, if you will. Right, Gary Gensler, digital currency wars and a national security crisis simulation.
Harden SWIFT. I frankly don't think that's going to. Secretary of Treasury says we should harden SWIFT. I frankly don't think that's going to address the real.
The Secretary of Treasury says we should harden SWIFT. In other words, make SWIFT, which everyone knows, and every nation, major nation, especially G7, G20 nations, know has been used as a weapon, a weaponization for sanctions on other countries. And what he is saying, Gary Gensler is saying, the Secretary of Treasury is saying we should heighten it, we should bring it, we should make it even more of a weapon, make the SWIFT system more of a weapon, right? Because we got the US dollar as the world reserve status, right? And Gary Gensler is saying, I don't think that's a great idea. But this just gives you a good idea of where he's coming from. So let me do this again.
We should harden SWIFT. I frankly don't think that's going to address the real policy, and we're losing the tools. Sorry to say this, Secretary Carter. We're losing the tools. If we keep using SWIFT for secondary sanctions, and on this,
Hearing that for 15 years,
but what the
we've got a lot of good use out of them in the meantime.
absolutely.
I've been hearing that for 15 years. We've gotten a lot of good use. This is a national security. And this dude, who's I believe is the Treasury person in this role, is saying we've gotten a lot of good use out of using SWIFT for sanctions.
Absolutely, but I think the runway is shortening. I think it's just shortening, and we've seen this right here in this circumstance that North Korea could have evaded sanctions, as the Secretary of Treasury said, just because they can move things across the border. But this new competition to SWIFT is real, so I concur that we should back away from secondary sanctions, and we also have to realize we have to stiffen up other tools, because SWIFT, we're in the waning days of this geopolitical tool. Secondly, as the currency director said,
Czarina, excuse me.
Currency director said, is we have been leapfrogged by others, by digital currency, by digital Chinese currency. Why? Because frankly, our central bank has been slow, and there's a point.
Frankly, we have been, right, displaced, right? We've been overtaken by China and its central bank digital currency and what they're looking to do. And he says, why? Frankly, because the Fed has been slow.
Coming in January of 22, the president's got to decide whether to change over who's leading the Federal Reserve, whether we need some new leadership there that can move us both domestically and internationally so that we can really be competing actively, that our U.S. currency system, it's under the Secretary of Treasury, but the Federal Reserve runs our payment system.
It's under the Department of Treasury, but the Federal Reserve runs the payment system. And this is the deal, right? Because there's two trains of thought, and it's almost this infighting, right? Because look at the Federal Reserve is run and owned, if you will, by the banks. The banks are not wanting to concede and say, look, this digital currency thing is the thing. It's the new thing. It's coming. It's happening. They do not want to concede to that notion. They don't want to concede to that notion. And so if the Federal Reserve doesn't want to concede to that notion, and their weapon, if you will, is SWIFT, which is, again, a banking system, right? Owned a bunch of banks, the top banks, right? Well, who is the one that's going to do the replacing or displacing of SWIFT? Who is that digital asset company that is looking to displace SWIFT? Displace, replace? Who is it? Who is it? It's Ripple. Brad Garlinghouse on stage publicly when asked, are you guys looking to replace SWIFT? And he said, I think, matter of factly, we are replacing SWIFT. We are replacing SWIFT. Well, how do you think that's going to go down? How do you think that's going to swallow, right, stomach, from JP Morgan and Goldman Sachs and Citi and Wells Fargo and perhaps even Bank of America? How do you think that's going down? SWIFT is their thing. Them being able to leverage the US dollar as a reserve currency is their thing. Ripple, this startup disruptor, is coming in and saying, we're going to put an end, we're going to replace that SWIFT, which is your money train. We get it. It's your money train. But the other 9,990 banks are not happy with this model. And oh, by the way, the world is not cool with the US dollar being the world's reserve currency. We at Ripple know that, and so did the other central banks. I mean, that's why Mark Carney goes publicly. The dude gets on a plane and hops into the US of A, and in US of A soil says the US dollar is got to go. The US dollar as the world's reserve currency, yeah, it's got to go. You see what I'm saying? So you got those in house here in the States are saying, yeah, well, you know, we can keep the thing going, and we are this and we are that and we are this and we are that. And you got the other side in house in the US like, come on, man. The writing is on the wall. There has never been a nation to continue to retain their currency as the world reserve dollar. It used to be over in Britain, right? There's never been a nation. It's time. It's coming. Let's get a plan to continue to stay relevant, even though we don't have the reserve status anymore. We got this United States of America fintech company, blockchain infrastructure company that gives us a lot of options. Let's embrace them and realize the technologies behind them to move forward. Because just like Gary Gensler said, China has leapfrogged the United States. The US of A is not leading in the digital currency movement. That, my friends, is where the in my opinion, is where the infighting is taking place. You know, JP Morgan's and the Goldman Sachs of the world, they're not going to just, oh, okay. No, they're going to go down kicking and screaming, corresponding banking and the friction therein, and the Nostra Vostra accounts there, that all benefits them. It's their cash cow. They got all this cash stacked up. It's the other 9,990 banks that have to pay to play that are not happy. They have to pay to play. Your bank down the street, your community bank and your regional bank are not JP Morgan and Swift and Goldman Sachs. They're not the top tier 1 banks. They have to pay to play. Ripple was coming in and saying, we will work with you and provide you another option, alternative to Swift. That's what's going on. That is the fight. Never forget it. The banking world is the head of the financial world. And they don't want to go down. They're not going to go down without a fight. That is the fight. And then you throw on top of it the United States government in some places fighting, kicking and screaming, not wanting the US dollar to be replaced as the world reserve currency. And what happened is just like Gary Gensler said, the Federal Reserve not moving as quickly as they should, perhaps because they think that, you know, they got the whole United States dollar reserve currency thing on their side. And digital currencies is a threat to that. Bottom line, it's a threat to it. Ripple was saying, hey, you know, look, we don't have to be a threat. We can work alongside. We can give you the velocity of money that you surely need and you don't have. We can work alongside of you. That's what they've been saying from almost day one, working with the regulators. It's the United States is the one that's been hesitant. It's not the Central Bank of Saudi Arabia, right? It's not the central banks of other nations. It's the United States because of the whole dollar thing. That, my friends, I believe is the challenge. That is a challenge, my friends. All right, guys, listen, I got to wrap it up here. What's going on here? Aida is in the building. How are you? Kraken is difficult. Yeah, it's odd working with Kraken. It was my first account, but it is odd. It is very, very odd working with them. You know, the whole XBT thing and yeah. It takes some time to get used to it. Good to see you. Mama Lacey is in the building. Aida's here. Appreciate you being here. King David is in the building. R stars 777 and 555. How are you, my friend? Good to see you. That's right. China is already live and looking for the #1 spot. That's right. Yeah. You can use the third party. Absolutely. Just check the fees, right? I think pro.coinbase may be cheaper, but check the fees. Ooh, wire transfer. Yeah. And I do think ultimately he is cryptocurrency friendly, Aida. I really do. I'm glad Gensler's out there in this mix. Even if he ends up being a foe to us, at least his opinion truly comes from knowing this space and not from the spirit of power play. That's the feeling I get. Yeah. And I trust that feeling. I do. Yeah. King David, you can still buy XRP on Uphold, Kraken, and Coinbase Pro. Absolutely. What's going on, Yas? King, good to see you. XRP #1, good to see you. Mom and Lacey, appreciate you being here. Minute 4:30 of that video got me to buy more XRP, said Gallo. Yeah, you're talking about Darren Moore's video, right? Guys, I got to tell you, listen, this is kind of where we are. I wanted to give you a kind of a shorter version. I'll maybe give you a longer one later on tonight. I got to hop off here. I have to get on this AMA with Alex Szymczynski because I am a proud member, a proud member of ambassador, I should say, of the Celsius platform. This again, guys, this is our, where is that thing at? Just some before and after pictures of our new product launch. Absolutely outstanding. Absolutely love it. I will make sure that I leave a link in the description so you guys can learn more about this. It's not just about weight loss. It's about being healthy. Healthy is the key. Throw in there a program that we got. I think is tremendous, free of charge. You throw in there the community that we have, again, free of charge. And it is an absolute game changer. All these photos you see here are 30 days or less. It's been working phenomenally well. I can't wait to share my before and after pictures because, again, it's not about weight loss. It is about being healthy. You got to have health in along with that. You got to have the metabolism in along with that, right? It's so you got to have the mitochondria right in along with that, right? You got to have the right collagen, not just any old collagen. You got to have the right prebiotics, not just any prebiotics and probiotics, right? These are all important, right? You want to learn what happy banana is, right? You want to learn, you want to have that fat browning process in what you do every single day. It slows down. It slows down. You want to amp that thing up, change that white fat to brown fat. All of that is in our program here with our product launch, and I couldn't be more and more thrilled with it. It's been a game changer for sure. So guys, listen, I'm going to wrap up. I'm going to hop off. Guys, listen, never, ever, ever forget this. I will leave a link in the description for that. Never, ever forget this, that old money doesn't want you to win. They don't want us to win. And it's okay. This is our chance to win. It doesn't matter what they want. The digital asset space is our chance to win. That's right. And in our program, Gallo, we have the intermittent fasting as well as one of the steps, right? We here in the Crypto Caesars Home, we're on the 15 to 16 hour one, but you know, you can do a 12 hour, you can do a 10 hour if you want. You can do a 12 or 14 as well. We're on the 16 hour one. We absolutely love it. So, all right, guys, listen, health is the absolute most important thing. It's not enough. Weight loss is not enough. It's health. You got to have the health part of it as well. You got to gear up and amp up that mitochondria, get it working well. You have to have the right prebiotics, right? It's so very important. You got to have that fat browning process as well. And in our wellness line, we have it all three of those, plus a free community, plus a program. It's pretty cool. All right, guys, listen, never ever forget, old money doesn't want you to win. It's okay. The digital asset space is our chance to win. Tell your friends and family. It's the digital asset space is our chance to win. All right, guys, I'm going to hop on this AMA. I'll talk to you soon. See you later on today. See you guys.